Welcome to my basement, everybody. We have rounded up the best people on earth for this episode today. We've got BEHR SAFI in with us and Jose Sanchez, two Electric Playground veterans, two very handsome gentlemen, two wonderful people, and I am privileged to know them both. And I thought, let's get, well, that's it. That's all you get. That's it. From now on, we just bicker. No, but I figured the game that everybody is talking about right now, there's lots of awesome things out there and lots of stuff coming, but the game that everybody is talking about right now from all corners of the video game industry is a cooperative.
From heaven to hell.
Heaven to Hell, a cooperative shooter that PlayStation has published from Arrowheads called Helldivers 2, and it is a hell of a good time. And I figured, why don't we talk a little bit about our experience with this game and get into it a bit. And I think the best way to kind of review a cooperative experience like this, although admittedly we have not played enough cooperative, play together. Of this game together. Yes, you and I did a little bit last night, Foobs, but I've been playing a lot. I know you guys have too. We're going to talk about that. But first, I think we should just say a couple of words about Akira Toriyama passing away. We found out yesterday, although he had passed away, I think, last week. And, very sad and very straightforward comment from the Dragon Ball community out there and the people that worked with him. And then we've seen just an outpouring of love and kind messages from around the world. Clearly somebody that mattered to millions and millions and millions of people. I imagine both of you are huge Dragon Ball fans. You've grown up, admiring the work that Toriyama-san built for us.
I mean,
absolutely. Yeah, go ahead, Jose. There's so much to say, right?
Right. It's just it's one of those unforgettable legacies that I think will just live on well past the man who created it. I mean, there's not a lot of things that we get in this world that outlive the person that created it. But from every aspect, from anime, from the manga, from action figures, video games, I mean, Dragon Ball is one of those global sensations that everybody, even if you don't watch Dragon Ball, you know what a Dragon Ball is. Like,
I've played many Dragon Ball games over the years.
Dragon Balls? Is it Dragon Balls?
Yes.
Or Dragon Ball Z?
That has been said many times on EP over the years. Yes.
I mean, you can't thank the man enough for everything that he created and all the cool little characters that he has put into the world that have come to life in so many different ways and variations, from the youngest kids that know it to grown adults who have been following it for as long as it's been around. So definitely a hit in the world of pop culture for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jose said it so well there, it's just a name that's going to be remembered with the Miyamotos and the Kojima's down the road, but just not only what he's done. Yeah. I mean, exactly. He is such an incredible figure and has really just changed the sphere of not only anime, but also video games. We talked about Dragon Quest, the designs he's done for that. You think about Chrono Trigger. These are franchises that, he's had a hand to play. And of course, as Jose said it best, Dragon Ball has really just changed the world with the impact that has had on everyone. So an extremely sad time for us to lose this legendary figure, but his legacy will absolutely live on, and he's touched so many people, he's inspired so many people, and I think if anything, we got to celebrate his life and how much he's provided to the world.
And
we got to take this through over 9,000.
I watched somebody tweet a kid that had just videoed himself just becoming just imbued with all the Dragon Ball power, and it was incredible. It is amazing. And I think that there is this sense that it's pervasive and there's just so much of it. And he did touch so much work and there was so much content that you do kind of see that work overshadow the human that was the inspiration for it all and the instigation for it all. And it's great for the world to slow down for a moment and just recognize this person and thank him, and that's what we're endeavoring to do a little bit right here. So our hearts are with his friends and his family and his coworker and his colleagues, and obviously with all of his many millions and millions of fans around the world.
The Dragon Ballers.
The Dragon Ballers, yeah. So rest in peace, Akira Toriyama. All right, let's switch topics and talk about something much lighter in tone and in scope. This is a game series now, which I think is also crafting in a way towards this indelibility, this kind of ever-present nature. It's much bigger than, honestly, I expected it to be. I remember reviewing the first Helldivers game. I don't remember the first Helldivers game. Like, I played it, I reviewed it, I talked about it, but it didn't register with me. I had like no hype or expectations for Helldivers 2, and it was when it was announced, it was like, oh, okay, cool. This is getting a lot of placement in whatever Sony video they had put together. Little did I know this thing was just going to take over the world. Were you guys hyped? Foobs, were you hyped for Helldivers 2, or were you expecting this?
I was one of those people the same. Like, I had Helldivers on my place. It was just like, I remember I have it. I can't remember if I played it or not. It's in my library. I have it in there.
Yeah.
But like, it's funny to me because like, even after playing it for so long, like, is it like, I don't understand. Well, like, I understand like it's fun. Like, it's an exciting thing to dive into, and it's especially like how we have all played games together, and that experience makes the game seem a little bit more exciting, and you're having a little bit more fun when you're playing as a group.
Yeah.
Is like, I'm trying to put my hand around, like, while I am enjoying my Helldivers experience, is it going to be one of those things that's like, it's fun for now, or is it going to have like the lasting power of a Destiny, or one of those things like, I can't quite grasp as to why it's so damn cool.
Yeah.
But I can see why it's so damn cool. You know what I'm saying? If that makes any sense.
No, it does. Absolutely.
I love that note Jose just made too, because I think personally that the success of Helldivers comes from the core gameplay mechanics and it just feeling so damn good. Now, I'm someone, comparing it to Destiny is incredible, Jose, because that's exactly what I was thinking when I first played it. I was like, is this going to last, have the longevity? And, being a Destiny fan is being like in an abusive relationship. You're talking to someone who has over 2,000 hours in the Destiny franchise, over 2,000, well over 2,000. And Destiny.
Your mom is so proud right now, buddy.
Oh yeah, this is the worst. This probably
she has 1,000 hours.
It's the worst thing I could ever put on my resume. Yes. It's so much time wasted. But I'm telling you, it's an abusive relationship, and I say this because the thing that made Destiny so successful, I think, is the core gameplay was just so swift. It was so natural. It was so addictive. You even play the Crucible mode, just how nice the gunplay feels in that game. The way the content drops, I feel like with Destiny is every other kind of expansion. It was like quite weak. The story was quite weak, but it was that core gameplay that really held it together. And that's the same to say with Helldivers is what I feel like. We all laugh at the ragdoll mechanics when we get blown up. We feel like the game feels really like natural to play. There's nothing that feels slow or sluggish about it. They have a really good skeleton that the team created that is I feel like there's nothing but success coming their way as long as that, the expansion drops kind of keep having people hooked. So
the servers stay up and the servers stay up.
Exactly. I feel like that's been sorted, right? But it's a really, really interesting point because, as Vic said, I don't know if anyone expected this game to be as big as it was. The first Helldivers was quite a different game. I think I played it on my Vita more than anything, but it was it was one of the first games that I remember that had crossplay between Vita, PS3, and PS4, which was absolutely incredible. But Helldivers 2, I thought was just going to be kind of this under the radar live service game that had a small fan base, but we're kind of getting a bit of a Fortnite effect with it, right? Where Fortnite, none of us expected to be as big as it was. I don't know if this game will quite capture the young audience like Fortnite
or Power World a little bit.
Power World, yeah, that's a great addition. So, but I see nothing but success here. I think, the only thing that I hesitate with right now is this is the first live servicey type game that's extremely successful in a while, and I'm really hoping that the industry does not think that live service is the only direction forward to success. And
I just said on Jaffe's podcast that I was on, or his show the other day, that there can't be a top 50 for live service games. I mean, there is, but we ain't talking about the 40th most successful live service game. That live service game is in a terrible place, and people are really stressed if they're in the 40th position there because of how much time these things take from you. But I think what's different about Helldivers 2 when you compare it to Destiny 2 is you still bounce from planet to planet. There's a couple things. It's way more esoteric in Destiny. It's way more fantasy infused. It's about alien races and all kinds of elements that feel very different and disconnected from the Earth that we know. And even though there's a hyperfiction with Super Earth in Helldivers 2, it feels way more boots on the ground, and it feels like there is less mythology to ask the player to invest in. It's very silly. It's definitely a take on Starship Troopers. It's also a statement about the sort of meat churning aspect of war, and how if you die, a replacement, clone or whatever, I don't know if they've really answered that, will just pop right back in. You'll be reinforced right away. And there's an expectation that you're going to be turned into mulch. You have a little bit of that with Destiny, where you have these little things that you will sort of hologram back to, and they've got some cool technology to kind of explain all of that stuff in Destiny. And where they meet, yes, is in the mechanics. It's a really fun first-person shooter. But I think the idea that we see the loot all the time that we're acquiring in Helldivers is very compelling. I think that it's incredibly tactile to play, and I think it looks incredibly tactile. It looks like you've got a bunch of toy pieces on the screen. And it's also employing well-defined technologies and animation trees. I saw a perfect video suggesting that a lot of the ways that people were playing Helldivers in animation mirrors what was in Metal Gear Solid 5, leaping and crawling and turning around and shooting from the back and stuff like that. And I don't know if you guys have seen that video, but there's like this one-to-one kind of connection to the animation string. And it's probably because some of this, they use some similar engine tech, off-the-shelf engine tech, which is totally fine. But I think sort of anchoring, and a Destiny did too. Like it feels a little bit like Halo, expanded, which already had years of playtest. But this also feels like it's had years of playtest and years of time to cook. And I think that what makes it pretty cool as well is that you don't feel the time slipping away from you like you do in Destiny. Like there's a start and stop on every mission that you jump into, and you can choose to go for a 15-minute hit or a 40-minute hit, and you can complete those missions quicker if you just want to get back to the objective. And I think that is a compulsive reward loop just in and of itself. People aren't feeling like their whole life is going away when they're playing Helldivers 2, even if it might be because they're kind of addicted to it. But I agree with you, Bear. I think there's a lot of like a great skeleton to build off of.
I think that you nailed it with, the loot, which is not really loot in this game. You're getting the little samples, and then you go back to your ship and you unlock them to unlock more stratagems, unlock more weapons.
Give me those war bonds.
They're war bonds. That's right.
Give me those war bonds.
Their battle pass system, which I just found out that the war bonds never actually go away. They're just going to keep stacking the war bonds, which is super cool. So it's not giving players that sense of FOMO. And I think it comes back to what you said about Destiny too, where with Destiny you really feel like time slipping away because there's a new expansion or season pass every couple of months, and they increase the light level, and then all your current gear feels useless. Where that's not how this is going to go down. You get to level 20, you have the ability to unlock almost everything except everything on the war bonds, and it feels very fulfilling. That gameplay loop is like, yes, like I leveled up, I got a few samples, like let's get this 500-kilogram bomb. And it's just the most rewarding thing ever to know that I have this unlocked forever.
Yeah.
And that is something that I feel like is going to keep players coming back, and not, like you said, perfectly, that, players are not going to feel like they wasted time just grinding and looting. And, these 2,000 hours I spent on Destiny, the amount of raids that I've done that, I got gear that eventually kind of became useless because of something else.
Well, it's also esoteric in Destiny. I'm not trying to slag Destiny. I know that there's a lot of work and a lot of love for the lore and all the stuff that they put into it. But it's not grounded. It's not grounded in reality. It's grounded in kind of like MMO esoteric design. And it's beautiful. I mean, there's some beautiful flourishes in Destiny, and Helldivers to me right now doesn't look like it's about really showing off what you look like. You know, you see it, but nobody gives a
sweet
shit.
Cape and helmet though.
Yeah, I know, but everybody looks kind of the same, you know, and the equipment is.
I'm not looking at you, man. I'm looking at the Terminators. I'm looking at the bugs.
Exactly.
I'm looking at where's the drop ship. I need to get the fuck off this planet because I can't be here any longer than I need to be.
Yeah,
that's pretty.
The only time we get to do that is in the ships, which fly from planet to planet, and that we're really just, you know, juicing our. At this stage, it's still early days for Helldivers, and I think when we go back to the bases in Destiny, that's when we start to kind of, you know, strut like peacocks on the things that we have. But it is definitely very different. It will be interesting to watch Helldivers 2 evolve, and whether they feel the need to put a lot more esoteric elements in there because there's money to be made. But I think if they keep it priced at the I think it's like $50 US or something like that, or $40 US to jump in.
I think it's 50 Canadian and $40 US, so it's incredibly priced.
That's great. And if they can, I think that's a price they can just lock in at, and they can just keep it at that. And if people are playing and it's fun, I mean, there's a GoldenEye-esque quality to this. You know, there's a 4x jump in with your buds and have a good evening kind of quality to the insanity. And the mission structure is pretty fun right now.
And like 4, not
4.
3. Who knew we could have 4 players in the same game?
True.
What the hell have we been doing with this?
That's an incredible point, Foobs. That's
like, what have we been doing, guys? We've been doing this since the dawn. Since the Nintendo came out with a little 4-player port where I could play.
Yeah, the multi-taps.
Finally. Yeah,
I can have multi-tap. Yes, I know.
Lilu Dallas multi-tap. Like, let's go, people. Congrats. Helldivers was like, you know, a lot of these games have been doing 3 players. Let's take it back. Let's take it back to the days of 4.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit, because that's one thing that comes to my mind as well with the co-op. I feel like one thing that the team really nailed with Helldivers is just the difficulty. I feel like, you know, there's so many different difficulties. I think it goes to impossible. I think might be the highest, which is like at level 8 or 9. But just the fact that
look at that bottle. Good Lord. You look like a baby.
Gotta stay hydrated, guys.
It's his protein shake.
That is amazing. Are you drinking from that bottle, or is that bottle drinking from Jose? Like, look at the size of that freaking thing.
Hey, you know what? Huge. This is what happens when you get yourself one of those Project Rock water. That's the power of the rock. We're talking about wrestling. You see the bull. You see the bull on there.
You know, what the world doesn't know is that thing weighs 2 tons as well, which is great.
It's how the Rock drinks water. Like, if you're going to drink a little baby bottle of water, you get your ass a 40 ouncer.
Did you steal that from Thanos? Jesus Christ.
Guys, when you're dealing with hell, okay, you need a lot of water. You got to stay hydrated, okay?
Sorry, the bottle took all focus away, so please pick up there.
No, that was a great topic to focus on. Absolutely, Boobs is a big boy. He needs his protein. No, I was just kind of admiring of how great the difficulty was scaled in this title, and the fact that you can jump in with players who are much higher level than you, and they can support you. They can actually call in their stratagems for you. So there's this cooperative aspect to the title where, you know, you might not have the railgun unlocked, which I think the railgun just got nerfed in the recent patch. So I'm sorry to all you. But if you don't have the railgun, you know, you can give it to a buddy can give it to you, or if you have it, you can give it to someone who's only level 5 or 10, and you know, kind of let them experience what it's like being, you know, level 20, level 25.
Story of my life.
Yeah.
Hey man, can you throw a jetpack down for me? I really want a little extra boost in my jump when I'm running away from these giant big ass bugs.
But it just ensures that no player feels useless, because every player is, you know, absolutely useful. And there's just a lot of really incredible cooperative elements that were very well thought out in this title, and
it's so much better when you play it with other people too. Like it exponentially increases the fun, even if you're playing with randos. And there's a community kind of aspect of like jumping in and you're working together. Before we started rolling on this, I wanted to jump in and check out the mechs to see if I saw any walking around. Lo and behold, I got dropped on a robot planet and we had to kill 225 of them. And you're like landing right on top of them and you're just getting steamrolled. But I think they're having issues with the launch of these mechs in the game. So they dropped a couple. I jumped into a mech. I'm running around. It made me feel like playing Star Wars Battlefront 1 for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
And running around Endor in an ATST. It was very much like that. It wasn't perfect. There's a lot of stumbles and bumbles with the kind of launch of this, server issues and things disappearing, and buildings will just be bombed or they'll explode, but there'll still be little pieces sort of hanging in the geometry. Sometimes arms are animated and rotated incorrectly, but it's kind of, the jank is still kind of fun with the game. You give over to it and you're just having a good time. And we were all laughing and saying, this is impossible. When I was playing with Foobs last night, it's like, what the hell? How are we supposed to survive this? This is ridiculous. And then you do, and then you give like virtual high fives to everybody at the end of all that.
And yeah, there's those tense moments, right? Where maybe you're out of lives and there's one person left and they have to make it to the drop ship. So everyone's rooting on that player. It puts you in those sweaty palm moments that are just so incredible and so memorable. I had a session 2 nights ago where we were playing like an impossible difficulty and we had that kind of exact moment play out and everyone just cheering at the end of like,
that's
yes,
great,
you made it out. And those are the memories that last forever. And
do you have that with Destiny? Do you have that same kind of thing, or is everybody kind of numbed by it, by how long it's been out and stuff?
For Destiny, unless you're doing the raids, or unless you're doing the competitive mode called Trials of Osiris, those are the only 2 modes because there's just so much on the line and there's just so much coordination that needs to happen amongst players. That's the only times I really feel that in Destiny. But when you're doing like what 90% of your gameplay is, which is kind of the story missions and the strikes, that doesn't happen too often.
Right.
So it's only for those kind of big task weekly events where that pops in Destiny. And like you said, like Destiny is an incredible game in its own sense. It just has a lot of flaws, but I think if we're going to compare launches of 2 titles that are kind of like live service games, the fact that they decided to release this at a $50 price too, knowing that there's not a ton in this game right now, but it makes the consumer extremely happy for what they paid for. I think I have friends who don't even play this game very much and they paid out of pocket for the war bond because they were having such an incredible time with this experience. Like it was worth the money for them.
Yeah. Foobs, what's your thought in comparison to the Destiny that you've played and the Helldivers 2 that you've played? You've also been playing the Skull and Bones live service thing.
35 hours into Skull and Bones right now.
You've got a totally different perspective there. Yeah. So like you're playing 2 live service games right now. I played throughout all of Suicide Squad. I have no interest in going back to that at all. I'm done with that. How is it to play, Skull and Bones and Helldivers 2 at the same time for you?
Well, I think I put more hours into Skull and Bones because I started it when the server issues were happening with Helldivers and I couldn't really get on. So I was like, well,
sure,
I'll just trudge along the seas, and then I just get into it, and then you meet up with a couple of other ships, and then you start pillaging, and you're just like, okay, we're gonna get having a little bit of fun. I wish there was a little bit more, but we'll talk about that at another time.
Yeah.
No, like comparing to Destiny, I feel like Destiny is a game you go into with a mindset of like how you're going to be playing it. Like if you've played any sort of shooter like Destiny, like, okay, I'm going to go in here, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get this stuff, this is what I'm looking for. Helldivers drops you in and you're like, what the hell am I going to do? Like, I have no clue what's going to happen. There's this bug that's flying around that's really bothering me. But no, it's one of those things where it's so chaotic, and in the instant, if you're playing with randos, you're just like, all right, is anybody talking? Or like you'll just jump into a game with the 2 people that know each other, and I left these guys. I was like, sorry guys, you're dead. I can't wait. There's bugs everywhere. I panicked and I jumped in the dropship and I left them. They're like, did you leave us? And then I was like, I'm gonna go play with Vic now because I don't want to get these guys mad. But it's again, is it going to be a thing that is going to have the longevity? That's my worry. Like when we're playing together as a group, especially when you're playing with people you have a lot more fun because you're all experiencing that same thing and you can talk about it after the fact.
Right.
And so that for me is the biggest, not a gripe, but the biggest like question I have about the game. Like, is it going to be that thing a year down the like end of the year, game of the year things that we're going to be talking about in 12 months, whatever?
Well, here's another way that they're different, though, because Destiny had all of that hype from Halo. It was like, oh my God, Bungie is trying something brand new, and they're looking at the MMO space and they're colliding the shooter type of experience with this persistent world with that first Destiny. And it was good, but it didn't set the world on fire. And then it sold enough, though, that there was a huge amount of expectation for what they were going to come out with Destiny 2. And then it was really good. It was really a huge step up from what they promised with Destiny 1, and there was a lot of beauty. But then they have now consistently tapped into that expectation and that hype, and that's hype at the highest level. That's like Fortnite hype, in terms of the amount of people that they reach. Some of it deserved, some of it maybe not so. Some of those expectations met, some of them not, some of them exceeded.
It's funny that Fortnite is the bar. That's like Fortnite hype.
Fortnite, yeah.
Fortnite has been able to pivot and change and grow. I mean, you can't fault Fortnite. Like, they have reinvested in lots of interesting million interesting different ways. But Helldivers has come in under the radar, no hype really. Like, unless you really are a super fan of the Vita and PS3 and PS4 game, no expectation, and all it had to bank on when it launched, and this was my experience because I streamed it on day one. PlayStation sent me the code to review it, and it was like, holy shit, this is so freaking fun to play. This is just fun. I was screaming. I was like, what the run? You find out right away that you're really vulnerable if you play this alone, especially at the beginning. And now I know that your experiences are going to probably mirror some of the things that I've had. But if you spend some time with the game, you're suddenly not the noob who is a total vulnerable, sad sack
you're
out
the grizzled
there.
vet.
Well, you earn some stripes legitimately in the game, and then you're playing with people, you're matched up with people, or you jump into rando, and it's really fun to work with people that don't have that experience. It's another level of enjoyment. And I don't know if Destiny really provides that. I think that there's this expectation that everybody is supremo in Destiny, and the patience might not be quite there. And I don't know how much help you really give another person. I've had a little bit of help with other people that I played with, but you really feel that help and that assistance in Helldivers 2. There is really a strategic, I mean, they call them stratagems. They're an integral part of the experience. You need to call down those strikes. You need to call out those extra weapons, attaching them like that. Yeah, and the reinforcements.
Reinforce me, bro.
And you're constantly having to chatter in order to work together. And it felt amazing. And I wasn't really expecting or prepared for it, but it felt amazing to be a guy with experience out there and to, point on the map where we should go next and sort of, follow me, or look, I found some stuff over here. And you could see everybody's just figuring out the way to play it. And I love that sort of community building aspect of this experience. I think I also think that, we're introducing mechs, and the word is that there's going to be vehicles coming very soon. Like, honestly, Destiny, all we get are the speeder bikes that take us from battle to battle. And now they're going to do like skateboards, like over 10 years or something with Destiny. That's it. Why are there no mechs in Destiny? That's crazy. Why can't you jump into can you jump into a tank even in Destiny? Is there any other?
Yeah, there are. They're not really heavily used.
Yeah.
There definitely are a few other. There's like tanks and little vehicles
Halo-esque
that you can
stuff.
go in. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're not a huge part of the game. I don't even remember.
And you can't call them down, right? You can't.
No.
You can't.
No,
they're found on the battlefield. I bet you that changes within 6 months. I think there are going to be some stratagems in Destiny very soon.
Yeah, well, what Helldivers has really taught me is that cooperative only games still have a space in this sphere. I was starting to lose a bit of faith. Obviously, we haven't seen like games like Left 4 Dead for many years, and then Redfall came and it completely failed. Obviously, there was a lot of other things wrong with that.
Yeah,
and I was truly starting to believe that it's either going to be single player experiences, which is incredible; those will always be around, or just kind of competitive multiplayer like Fortnite. Fortnite was a very different story because it really rode the wave of Battle Royale being extremely popular, and then it kind of added Battle Royale as an afterthought last minute, and then that really grasped a huge audience, which again, because Fortnite just felt so good to play. I feel like the mechanics and the building, a lot of people really vibed with it instantly. Just like how you said, when you first played Helldivers, Vic, you loved the way it felt. And I feel like that core gameplay, I think, is the Autodesk Stingray modified engine. I wrote it down here. So they modified like an older engine actually to make it feel the way it was, which is why I think
it does feel old, but it feels worked in. It's like a nice
it's
old
been through some
piece of furniture, that like has been really planed and stained and glossed up, and it just feels right. You sit at it.
This game came out in 2015. You're just now feeling it. It's like,
but that's fine. That's totally fine. I was streaming Saboteur yesterday that EA just released on Steam, and I popped it on the Steam Deck. Felt great. Like sometimes we are so in this race to be dazzled that we overlook just the core simple things that really, like, I would way rather have this collection of stratagems to play with in a cooperative multiplayer thing than the gorgeous visuals of Destiny. I really would, and all of these beautiful cut sequences and all of these different elements. And it's not like Helldivers 2 is not a good looking game. It is, but it is within its ambition, within its scope. It's well scoped in terms of, it's taken 9 years. This was the last game the studio made was Helldivers 1. So this was no joke of an investment, but it probably didn't cost, even with that 9 years of development, they probably have a much smaller team. Probably didn't cost anything like what Bungie has spent in Destiny. And I would way rather have the toys that Helldivers gives me, even at this stage, than the toys that you have to grind or purchase to own in Destiny, because they just don't feel, I guess that's what it is. Like Destiny, you're just adding color to a lot of the same things over and over again. In Helldivers, there's some similarities across equipment already, but like the fact that they're adding lasers and soon tanks, and they've got mechs, and you feel that connection to the ship flying over you, which is constantly storming and buzzing the ground. I love all of that stuff.
Yeah, I think it comes down to that cooperative experience we were talking about, because with Destiny as well, like, and a lot of co-op loot shooters, it's not just Destiny, where you feel kind of gated out as well, of like, if your friend is 20 levels higher than you can't really do the raid with them. You can't, if you don't have a Gallahorn, you're useless. There's been a lot of these phases in Destiny where if you didn't have specific loot, you were just kind of a useless player. So you had to really grind that, where this game, again, does not feel that. I've played with players who are like level 2, who are friends of mine who just started playing, and we would laugh and I would be able to help them out. And that kind of inviting aspect of it, I think, is really also what's causing the success of this game is no one feels useless. But I think the conversation we really need to have at the root cause of this, and I know we keep bringing up Destiny again. We love Destiny. We're
Destiny has that's the thing. Like Destiny has killed it, and they've really kind of shown how you can do this. Same with Fortnite. So it's hard not to talk about them. But I think Helldivers, in the face of all of that competition, carved out a space for itself, and clearly it's connecting, and we're trying to determine why. Because we're all shocked.
This is a conversation I want to have with all of you. We also got to remember that Helldivers, let's speak U.S. prices, is a $40 game versus Destiny, which launched at the full retail price.
Right.
And there's all these rumors now. Is this the future of the industry, where we just have to like price games for possibly what their value is? Not that I'm saying that Helldivers is valued at $50 Canadian. But there's all this talk about GTA possibly being a $120 retail game. We're not sure if that's going to happen, but that very well might be the future of the industry, where we might see these big games like Red Dead, GTA, have that $120 retail, and then have some of these live service games that are under the $60, $70 retail price. So that's really what I'm wondering with Helldivers. Are a lot of other developers going to see this and be like, you know what, maybe it is smart to launch at this $39.99 price point for a live service game that might take time? Should Suicide Squad have been, a $20?
No, it should have been it should have been half price.
So that's, and I totally agree with you and Jaffe, where with this live service space is very risky, right? There's only, I would even say like 10 games that could survive in this sphere that could be extremely successful.
Yes.
because it just, again, they take up so much of your time and take so much investment that it's such a competitive space.
Well, this is sort of off the Helldivers topic, but I think the video game industry is in the middle of a real discussion about how they grow substantially the amount of players purchasing games in this AAA ecosystem or AA ecosystem from generation to generation. And I think it is by appealing to the people that aren't buying. I don't think it is like trying to tap into former players. I think people are leaving games and moving on to other things, or they are being trained to play games on other types of devices. And they're not coming to the sort of console and PC AAA stuff in the numbers that this content really deserves. And I think one of the things that they should be thinking about is pricing. I think pricing is incredibly, I mean, it's all about the amount of obstacles and the amount of friction that gets in the way to get to all of this stuff, you know? And Helldivers 2 is a really fantastic illustration of the you know, limiting that friction and making it seem like a value packed proposition for anyone. And I you know, even though it's you know, keyed to PC and PlayStation, and it could be on Xbox, and it's kind of silly that it's not, it's doing really, really well. And I think price is definitely a factor. And I believe that if games and, like, let's say we start to pivot away from this exclusivity, you know, paying for consoles so we get these exclusive things. Maybe the business itself decides to do that. And suddenly it's you picking up a machine to play games on, whether it's a PC or a branded Sony gaming machine or a branded Microsoft, you know, whatever. But there's a kind of a parity there. And it's not about picking from the get-go, you know, what your bet is hardware wise. It's like, you know, that stuff is going to be there. I think more people enter the arena because they're not sort of having to make that first initial choice about who do I go with? You know, even though we all know there is no wrong choice, you're going to have lots and lots of fun. But people on the outside, I mean, I think about them all the time. I talk to them all the time. All the parents of the kids that go to my daughter's school and stuff, they ask me about games all the time. And that is a apprehensive moment for them. What system do I buy, and why should I buy that? And they have to, like, why do we have to put them in that position where they have to stack up the caveats and the pluses and minuses and all of these things when the story isn't the hardware, the story is the games we get to play, you know? And I think if games were more accessible and less expensive, and, you know, subscription is an element there, we're going to draw more players, and more players means more inventiveness and more, you know, more bets, more riskier kind of takes. And then, you know, we all, as the evangelists, I'm talking about everybody watching and listening to this too, we have to kind of curate for people, and we have to guide people to the good content, you know, because we know about all of this stuff. But most people don't have the time. They just do not. But I bet you Helldivers is winning a lot of those people over. Bet you there's a lot of friends that are playing Helldivers right now who maybe haven't bought a game in a long time. And that's crazy. A very significant thing, right?
Yeah. How much word of mouth has spread with this game too? You know, I was buying my brother a copy for his birthday. His birthday's today, actually. And I was at the retail store, and I was, you know, asking the cashier to grab the game from the glass, and there was, you know, two other people there, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're buying Helldivers?" Like, I was up till 4 a.m. last night playing this game, and I was like,
"That's
this
great!
Is so cool! This is the phenomenon that this game has become. That, you know, people are just discussing it out in the public, and they're just like they're willing to talk about it and express their love for it." So, yeah, I totally agree with you. You know me, I'm the console war type of guy to a degree. Yep. But I do feel like, you know, live service games like this, which is why I'm happy like Sea of Thieves is coming to other consoles. But I do absolutely agree that a game like Helldivers should go to the Xbox fan base as well and be on the Xbox platform, because games like this really do succeed with the most amount of people playing it and the most amount of accessibility. You know, I could see a game like Helldivers coming to the iPhone, you know, in a couple of years, to be honest, with how good these little devices now are playing games. I think, isn't Death Stranding on the iPhone now? I don't even know, but it's absolutely incredible. Yeah.
And I talked about it in my iPhone 15 video, and it blew my mind. It's really hard to see those details though. You know, like, because they're made for big TVs, these games, so it's really hard to like, what the hell am I looking at? But you know, Apple's about to launch this is going all over the place, but that's kind of the nature of the industry right now. We are learning from all of these different things, but Apple's about to release an M3 iPad, and if you pair that with a controller, you're going to be able to throw Resident Evil 4 or Death Stranding, and some of these games are like Death Stranding. If you buy it for the Mac, you can play it, you know, natively on the Mac, and it's that same code on your iPhone. And so it's kind of in that Switch element, which is pretty freaking impressive. And an OLED M3 iPad, that seems pretty damn compelling. And that's what I'm talking about. It's not really like, and it's the software, man. It's that portability of that software. So should Helldivers 2 be on Mac and an iPad and iPhone? Hell yeah, it should. Should be on Xbox.
Apple Vision. Run!
Yeah,
totally.
You know, I gotta say, Vic, like my mind on cloud game streaming has really changed, or just streaming over the internet. I recently bought a PlayStation Portal, and most of my hours on Helldivers has actually been just me lounging on the couch playing on the Portal.
It's pretty rad, isn't it?
And it's really rad. Like, it is so cool. I did not expect this device to be as captivating as it was. I thought the idea was, quite frankly, kind of crazy when I first saw it. But when I start seeing a lot of these, you know, tech reviewers checking this thing out and not really bashing on this thing as much as I thought, I was like, okay, this might actually be a pretty good product. And yeah, I've
had a couple of times where I've been on my phone and I've been live streaming a game I'm streaming from a hotel room. I was streaming Nex Machina from my PlayStation 5 using the Backbone PlayStation controller thing on my iPhone from my hotel in Montreal, and it's like it was working, you know, or I might have been or Toronto. I was in Toronto, and then the other thing that really hit me, I was at the Rayman, the last Rayman event for the last not Rayman, the Mario versus Rabbids game, which was amazing on the Switch. There was an event in San Francisco, and I was on their Wi-Fi, just, you know, checking my email and stuff. I said, I wonder if I could stream Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge from my PlayStation 5 over their Wi-Fi at this event, and it was working. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. And it was so smooth and seamless. I was showing that, you know, the other journalists.
Sorry, Nintendo. Sorry, Nintendo. I didn't mean to mooch on your Wi-Fi.
You gotta test where you can test, you know. And I was like outside somewhere and at an event, and I'm like, I am playing my PlayStation 5 right now through my phone. Yeah, I know there's some weird stuff going on right now.
Sanctimonious son of a bee.
yeah, big changes. But with Helldivers 2, it's not perfect, and they really stumbled out of the gate with the server stuff, and it feels like, I mean, they're just adding the mechs kind of in a haphazard way, the exosuits they call them, which are incredible. It felt really beautiful right away, but it seems like things break this game on a regular basis. They probably do not have the infrastructure. They do not have the resources, the manpower that a very sophisticated company like Bungie has developed and hired to over the years. And those guys stumble too. But what can make Helldivers 2 better? And what turns this really, really good game into an unforgettable, great, everlasting game? Is there a possibility that this has the legs of a Fortnite or a PUBG or a Destiny? Foobs, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, for right now, don't forget what's making it so cool. Like the little nuances, the little, you know, like just the quirkiness of it. While it's not perfect, but it's not trying to be perfect. Like, don't overthink, like, you know, what you need to do to it. If people are loving it how it is, just make sure it works and keep adding to that. And I think it should be able to last. It's going to be interesting to look at this later on in the summer to be like, are we still talking about Helldivers 2? Are they still adding content? Did they give up on it? Because it was like, we had a solid month, guys. We killed it for that month, 2 months. And then it was like, this game came out and screwed everything all up.
Right.
So I feel like just stick with what works. Don't try to break don't try to fix what's not broken, and we'll see. Time will tell.
What do you think, Bear?
If I had to give Arrowhead any piece of advice, I would be careful with your microtransactions and be very careful of being eager for microtransactions. Like, I feel like the way that they launched the War Bond has been excellent so far. It feels like you can earn enough of the super credits on your own to unlock it if you play a ton.
Yep.
And I think if people see value in the game, they will just spend money willingly without having to be persuaded to do so.
Right.
And I think that is one area where they just have to be careful. And again, I don't want to bring up Destiny again, but that's where I feel like Bungie kind of faltered with all their dancing and emotes and, you know, season passes that you had to buy. Otherwise, you're missing out while all your other friends are enjoying it. Right. So they got to have the inclusivity that they have now, where every player doesn't feel like they are, you know, behind or, you know, a detriment, or they don't have a specific DLC. Please just be careful about that, because the reason why this game has been so successful is because of that accessibility factor of it and the price factor. You know, I think even you were talking about all the flaws and the jank and the error and the weird animations, because it's a, you know, $50 Canadian game and it's just a hell ton of fun. People are not willing to criticize it for those small flubs. So that is all I would say to Arrowhead, is just watch those microtransactions, keep releasing the free DLC, and I promise you the money will come naturally, because people will just love your game for what it is.
Awesome feedback. I have a couple of ideas, and some of them are a little bit esoteric, but I think the core thing that Helldivers 2 really needs to do is remember that every piece of content that they've added, all of these little widgets and stratagems and the machinery and equipment, has felt very toy-like and very fun. And even though war is hell and the moment-to-moment play of this is intense and you get freaked out and you run for your life, there's so much like running from shit. And you know, one thing we haven't touched on is how smart the AI is, whether they're the robots hunting you down or the bugs hunting you down. They're vicious and they strategize. They've got brains. Yeah. And they try to surround you and you know, find paths to you, and your only recourse in that moment is to triangulate your gunfire, not shoot each other, which you can do, not explode each other with all of these different things. So there is an element of strategy that you have to do.
Not nuke your teammates.
Not nuke your teammates. And I've got a flamethrower, and I'm bad with flamethrowers, guys.
Flamethrower got a buff recently. It's really good now.
And I burn the shit out of all my teammates.
My ass.
Yeah.
Toasted my cheeks. I try not to. Night. Thanks, buddy.
I like to burn. No,
This is the first co-op game. It's funny you mentioned this is the first co-op game where I feel afraid of separating from my team since Left 4 Dead, to be honest with you, where you really have to walk as a unit, right? That like you said it best, there's so much,
but not too close.
Not too close though. Yeah, but you don't want to stray too far away, because as you said, the AI is so smart, and you know, they will hunt you down and they will just push and tank towards you. So being alone in this game is sometimes the scariest thing that could happen.
Yeah, no, but that is my actual point, or, you know, one of my ideas with this thing, because Destiny, not to always refer to Destiny, they're very different games, but Destiny is very successful. And Destiny, I play a lot of Destiny like I play the campaign in Halo. I've played a lot of solo player in Destiny, and the game really onboards you to help you have a fun experience to do that. There's a finite amount of fun because there's a lot of repetition in Destiny, but I've played a lot of solo player in there, and then I've seen other people and we jump into a moment and then I go off on my own again. Helldivers, you can play it alone, but you learn quickly what a ridiculous challenge that is and how foolhardy it is. But now that this is an, you know, unabashed franchise, and there's all of these interesting story dimensions and hooks that they're sprinkling and dusting with the sass that the game series now has, there is a moment, or there is an opportunity to create single player missions and little story pieces out of these mechanics. It will work, that you can play it solo, but they could actually refine missions that are made for solo, or, you know, you send out a mercenary, or you help to develop a unit type that is better for solo player play. Maybe they get an extra stratagem or something like that. And I think that could be a really fun direction for the company to offer and not focus on, but it accentuates the value proposition there. And in terms of just like straight telling the story and the marketing, it's Starship Troopers, this game. It is like
Johnny
straight
Rico
up and
skin.
down.
That's what I need. I need a Johnny Rico skin for my character.
I think you either embrace Starship Troopers and you license it into Helldivers 2, you work with the owners of it.
Casper's got to want in.
Or you get Casper Van Dien in your marketing, and he's playing it, and he's back in character. You get Casper Van Dien and Denise Richards, and they're just having fun, and maybe some of the other cast members playing this. Maybe you squad up with 4 of the cast members from the Starship Troopers. You just flat out embrace it. You introduce planets and things that were from there. You create, some of the alien threats. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You throw them in there, and you just embrace it. And then you're just rippling out. Maybe you get Paul Verhoeven to kind of endorse it in some way, and
CBD and PVH.
Yeah,
together.
it would be crazy. But I mean, those are a couple of cursory
ideas. It comes down to like what is promised also when the game is launched. Right? I think people know what they're getting into with this game. Yeah, where they know that it's not going to have an in-depth story. It's more of a multiplayer experience. So I think that's something that the consumer really understands. Whereas when Destiny launched, people were thinking there's going to be this expansive story, but they had their little cards that you had to read online and to find out what the lore actually was. But it's really about not lying to the consumer, because we've talked about this in our last big basement altogether, where the consumer is intelligent. You never question their intelligence. They know what they're getting into. They'll look 100%. Into a product before buying it, and they don't need to do any story at all if they want. All they got to do is just keep adding more factions, more mechs, more weapons. And I think people will be happy. The fact that there's the automatons and the Terminids now, I can't imagine what the next race will be and how much excitement that will add to add a whole new cluster of planets for everyone to liberate. So that's exciting. The sky is the limit.
Yeah. I mean, like, honestly, they could, I'm on this Starship Troopers hook, but they could, flip that whole narrative around, because they're sort of like fascists in the plot of Starship Troopers. Be crazy to introduce them as the villain. And Casper Van Dien's character is kind of a leader, and you've got to go and fight there's a whole bunch of things that you
comes out of nowhere. Jake,
oh man,
let's go.
No, like you could do some really fun shit. But I think we're kind of in agreement here. This is it's a mega blockbuster, maybe an unexpected one. I think there's a lot of questions about how long that fanfare around this game is, but I love it, and I'm finding that, like, with a lot of live service stuff, there's no way to like properly encapsulate a review of it, because it's constantly morphing before your eye. Like, it's changing every time you log in. Today.
Max today. What?
And that's kind of how I'm enjoying it. Like, I've been playing it, not like full bore 10 hours a day. It's not Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for me. It's, I don't feel like I'm leveling up and I'm gaining new things, new trinkets, new toys to play with. But it's a great game to just jump into and play for a little bit, put it away, play something else, come back, And I think that's a really healthy way to approach this. I didn't play Suicide Squad like that. I played through all of it because I wanted to see the story. I played a little multiplayer, but for the most part, I was on my own as my character, and all the other characters were AI controlled right beside me. So it didn't feel that much different when somebody else was King Shark beside me or something like that, This feels, and that was not an experience where I was like, I'll play a little bit here, I'll play a little bit there. I was like, no, big, huge chunks of hours I was spending to kind of get through what Rocksteady was, creating for me story-wise. This isn't that. This is a playground. It is a sandbox, for the most part. And I'm really loving it.
Playground.
The eclectic playground.
I am extremely optimistic about the future of this game. I think, like I said, the sky is the limit if they keep churning out content like they are, and kind of keep things steady, and don't get too aggressive with DLC and microtransactions, and keep things free. I think the money will keep coming in, and as you said, this will be a game that people will jump in for a round or two every night. You might be on party chat all playing single player games and be like, you know what, let's all jump into some Helldivers 2 and do a mission or two. And totally. I really think that it's a title that'll stick around for many years to come if it keeps at the trajectory that it is. I don't think this is just a wave of hype that we're experiencing. I think they created something very incredible at the core gameplay experience, and they just got to keep servers up, and I think more and more people will just keep playing.
And widen out that circle of planets that we can go to. We could probably zoom on the galactic map table and just see other worlds just keep getting added to it. It's really a crazy thing. Boobs, what would you give what you've played so far of Helldivers 2?
I mean, I want to go high. I feel like 8.5 for me is where I'm sitting, because the promise I know could be there. And again, looking back at it in 6 months from now, when all the stuff is working correctly as they want it to and everything's added in, I feel like it could definitely jump higher, but 8.5 is where I'm sitting.
Yeah, that's good. What about you, Bear?
I was thinking the exact same thing, Foobs. 8.5 is a perfect number where it sits. It's just, there's so much more to dream about and anticipate for this game, but as it launched stands, 8.5, I think it's an incredible game. I think there's so much more. It could easily be a 9 or a 9.5 in the years to come.
Yeah, I'm at a 9 already, and I think that's because of where my expectation was. I was really like, oh, great, another live service thing is coming our way. Aren't we getting enough of these? And the legit joy that I had playing it for the first time, and still am finding every time I play it. And when I factor in the value equations, and that Arrowhead just seems like they got their head on straight about all of this stuff. They have the benefit of a lot of mistakes to learn from too, right? And everybody kind of figuring all of this stuff out. And as we're constantly reminded, nobody has this all figured out. You can come out with, from a huge AAA studio like Rocksteady and stumble, and at every level, people are still determining what the future of interactive entertainment is going to be. But I think in that future is now fracking Helldivers in a pretty big way, which I didn't anticipate. I thought it was going to be kind of over already, quite frankly, since I thought, okay, well, that'll be fun for a few weeks. And it's like, no, it's just getting started, this game. So I'm at a 9. And I think if you've got a PlayStation 5 or a Steam account, you should be hustling to jump in. And I can't wait to play more with you guys.
Dive in, Vic.
Dive in. Very good. And we talked a little bit about it, but I think your Left 4 Dead comparison, Bear, was actually very appropriate, because that was a game that had a massive shelf life. You did a lot of the same kinds of things. There was a lot of strategic sort of things that you had to employ before you went off into battle, and it became this casual jump in for people over and it still is for a very, very, very long time. I think
the young generation right now forgets. I mean, I know that just forgets the impact that Left 4 Dead has. Like it was such an incredible title that had such longevity, and people played the hell out of it for many years after. But I think the wave of co-op shooters kind of started to die after Evolve was such a big disappointment. Right. And I mean, I know that had a PvP element to it too, with one person playing as the big creature, but we started to see the slowdown of cooperative games. But I think
it's that mix. It's the mix, like 4 characters, man. Give me 4. Okay, not 5. 3 sometimes works. Give me that 4, man. Let's keep it 4.
I also think about when we were all playing the Alien game that came out, I think about a year ago now. We were having a good time with that, but I just didn't have the skeleton that we really wanted for something fun. We saw the experience of that really fade away quickly right before our eyes. And
it wasn't as simple. It wasn't as immediate for you to understand its complexities, because there is complexity in Helldivers, but it's very quick for you to jump in, dive in, and know what the hell you can do if you keep playing.
And that comes from the design, right? You see how tiny the ship is. Like you enter that ship and it's literally just one little hallway. You don't have to like run around and talk to all these people. And
you're right.
You're like, okay, who sells this? Who does this? It's literally like just 2 computers. That's everything. And then go into your Helldive pod. I feel like that was very well thought out from a design perspective, and extremely intelligent. Extremely.
Where was that guy? Was he upstairs and around the corner?
They got to add some space battles in that game. That would be amazing. That's the thing. Like, I'm thinking of all the
space battles
things.
in single player in this multiplayer experience. And you want a 10? Space battles in single player for Victor Lucas.
Get on there.
That's what you get with your live service thing, right? That's what you get people going and players going, well, what? Add this, add that, add that. We're about to get the Star Wars Battlefront collection for all of these different things. 64 people can play that at a time. And you can have, space battles going into on the ship battles, and you're fighting on planets, and you've got ships flying all over. People forgot how freaking insane those games were, and we're about to re-experience them. They were incredible. And what DICE did with Battlefront was pretty damn cool too. Looked beautiful, but it didn't really escalate on the design that Pandemic did 20 years ago. Now it feels like, almost 20 years ago, like a long ass time ago, at least 15 years ago. I think we're going to be shocked by how much fun those experiences
But will it
are.
have does something like an old school style 64 player Battlefront, can it have the lasting ability of a it's a crazy thing to say. Like this, are there enough people
they're
that
launching
enjoy
it
Star
again?
Wars?
They're launching it again. Yes, the answer is yes, it can. It was very successful. People have kept private servers up for those games the whole time, and a lot of people have continued playing it. There's some of my favorite memories of Xbox Live. I know some of yours as well. So, and it was not as sophisticated an online infrastructure as we've got right now. It's been played that whole time, and now they're relaunching it again. And I don't know if it's going to sell like gangbusters in 2024.
That's but the fact that
they're doing it.
That was what I was saying.
But they're doing it. You know what I'm saying?
I know they're doing it, but will the fan base be there to keep it intact? Will it blow up like a Helldivers? Like, this is a game that's been out for 20 years.
I think we'll see a spike, and then I think there'll be a bigger drop-off for a game like Battlefront, because, of course, they can't really add anything else to the game. I know there's a few actually unreleased levels in this collection, which is very cool, but it's not really going to be continually being updated and things being added to it. So
it's old as hell. But that's the story.
That's the appeal. That's the appeal too, right?
Yeah. That's cool. I don't know if in 15 years from now, Helldivers 2 gets re-released. Helldivers might be.
We'll be on Helldivers
still.
7.
Yeah, 7.
It depends. They make 9. It takes 9 years to make one, so it'll probably be on Helldivers 3.5.
Yeah.
Well, it would be pretty rad to think about an RTX infused 120 frames per second Star Wars, full fidelity Star Wars Battlefront 3 coming out for PS3 and whatever the next Xbox is going to be, and PC, and maybe Switch
on the PS3. That's weird. Weird call.
Did I say PS3?
PS6.
PS6. I got all. We're in all eras right now. That's the state of
Vic, you hear that, guys? We need Battlefront 3 on the PS3.
Hey, dude, there almost was a Battlefront 3 on the PS3 made by the Time Splitters guys. All right, gentlemen. So Helldivers 2. Big success. We all have things that we hope for the future, but we all expect that this is going to have a nice long run, and it will be very interesting to watch all this. Yeah, we hope it does. It's going to be a crowded year. Started off really good. Lots of good games out there to play. I've got a couple that are in the queue right now, and Foobs, you and I still have to play some Skull and Bones and come back and talk about that.
Join my party. I'm at Kingpin level 8 right now.
I bet you're going to just crush me, but I am very interested in checking that game out. But I also really want to make some more time to play Helldivers 2 with both of you, because it's a blast.
And maybe even someone else, because we can get 4 people.
Like 4 people.
1, 2, 3 of 4 us. Players is a big deal. Yeah, yes. Just looking at the year, it's always incredible to see the surprise hits like this, right? Like, totally. Helldivers 2 will be a game that we're going to talk a lot about at the end of 2024, and just the impact that it's had on this quarter of the year. So I love to see
than Power World already. Like, Power World was blowing up, but I feel like it's kind of disappeared already. I don't see people talking about it. I played a little bit of it. I'm not compelled to play that like I'm compelled to play Helldivers.
Yeah.
Pikachu in me doesn't want me to play it.
Your loyalty.
My loyalty,
Pikachu. Yes. Well, thank you guys. Thank you so much. I love you both.
He's always watching.
I'll see you both soon. And thank you all for watching. Oh, and one quick reminder that the classic episodes of the Electric Playground start on March 23rd, which is a Saturday morning, 9 o'clock in the morning Pacific, noon Eastern. We're going to run every episode of our shows, starting with episode 1, season 1, Saturday, March 23rd. They're going to premiere.
17 years of content.
We're going to be busy doing this for a long, long time. But I've got great partners that are attached to this PNP game, so please support them, and also the University of Toronto Mississauga, who is helping to digitize all of this content for their students and for all of you. So please come and join us and watch the shows with me. And I hope you guys will be able to do some of that with me. I'm not going to ask you to be there for every single one, but it'd be great for you guys to pop in and chat with people. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you soon. And until then, play forever.